Hello and welcome. You're watching AMN Talk to Addis program with me, your host, Darullah Brhani. Today, I just have brought you a new guest. My guest is Prince Bah from Ghana. Do stay with us. Welcome, Mr. Prince, to our talk show.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you.
It's also a pleasure to be invited here.
Okay, before we just dive on to our discussion, tell us who is Prince Bah? Your background, please.
Salam no. I'm Prince Bah, a name from Ghana, specifically from Kumasi. That's the second capital, largest capital city of Ghana. I'm here in Addis as a master's student on inter-African mobility. It's a master program, a postgraduate program sponsored by the European Union. I'm in the field of material science. I've also had my master's degree in chemical engineering at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And I'm here as a researcher at Addis Ababa University in the area, like I said, material science. I've been here for almost 11 months. Next month will be 1 year, and I'll go back to Ghana.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me just begin with the first question. Given the fact that you came from Ghana and the Ghanaian historian legend, we could say the father of African Union, Kwame Nkrumah, is the one whom we can mention, as a prominent African father for the establishment of African Union, and as well that of Haile Selassie, His Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie, has played a key role. And these are some of the African fathers who have realized the establishment of African Union here in Ethiopia. So how do you see their contribution for the movement of Pan-Africanism? And still, their vision, their dream has not yet been realized. It seems it's expecting us, this generation or the future, I don't know. Time will tell us when it will be realized, but tell us the Pan-African movement that these countries have contributed, and what reflection do you feel? Because you are attending in Haile Selassie University. It was previously said Haile Selassie University, now it's named after Addis Ababa University. So what does it spark in your mind? Tell us about this thing.
Yeah, all right. First of all, what I can say is that both Ghana and Ethiopia have played a major role in the context of Pan-Africanism. For instance, Ghana, under our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he fought for the independence of Ghana. And when it comes to Ethiopia, the Ethiopians severely and vehemently resisted colonization. They did it all continuously till they finally overcame the Italians. And it became like, Ethiopia became like an emblem of, unity. And as a model, like Ethiopians became a model for other African countries to also fight for their right. And I think that also influenced Ghana to also force or, go into, fighting for their own right. So I can say that on the context of Pan-Africanism, both Ghana and Ethiopians have really played a role. At the forefront of African liberation movement. They were vital, countries. And no doubt we have African Union in Addis Ababa. So ever since this ideology from Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and Emperor Haile Selassie, it has fostered this unity. And I always say that Ethiopian is my second home, because when I came to Addis, wherever you go, they ask you where you're from, you say I'm Ghanaian. The way they hail you, because of this same ideology Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and Haile Selassie had in having African independence and unity. So I can say that both Ghana and Ethiopians have really been a source of motivation to other countries. Hence, other countries also look upon Africa or look upon Ghana and Ethiopians to have independence.
Very good. You were just mentioning the contribution of the two African fathers. Tell us about, the the feeling that it brings to your heart? For example, you're attending in Haile Selassie University. How does the university compound looks like? Everything. Can you explain it?
I mean, in terms of the university, I mean, here Selassie did well, putting up well infrastructures. I mean, we have facilities to support learning and all that.
Good. In your opinion, how does Ethiopia's association with African Union influence the modern day relationship between Ghana and Ethiopia? For example, there is what you call African victory or Adwa, victory of Adwa. It was after victory of Adwa that Pan-Africanism has been established, and even the establishment of the Organization of African Union, the current day African Union or the Organization of African Unity, the former one, has been realized. So what does it feel like? You know, we were talking about the African victory, the victory of Adwa, and I think you told me that you have stayed here for 11 months. You might be going around the city and have seen different things. You might have visited the museum. You might go pay a visit or go by the victory of Adwa Memorial. So what does it feel like? How does it depict? You know, Africans, we have had no history of, you know, recording there is no African history museum. The only way that we have is in African Union headquarters. If you go there, there are different statues of African forefathers and their dreams, their speeches. So if you go to different 54 African countries, there isn't such a culture. If there is, it's very too shallow. It's not, you know, in-depth kind of thing. So how do you see this initiative?
I think personally I've never been into that museum, but I mean I've gone around that and I've listened to a few interviews. I think recently they had Adwa celebration, and I happened to listen to our ambassador. He was interviewed for that, and then he was also saying how the Adwa victory has played a role in the life of other African countries. Like I said, it serves as a beacon of hope for other countries to also fight for their own rights. And it also represents, I mean, African history. It's telling us about Africa. Like you said, we've lost our identity as an Africans. And it's good we have those museums telling us what has gone over the years. And I think it's a good thing. But personally, I've not gone to the museum to visit what is actually there. But I believe that museum serves as, I mean, a historical monument which represents Africa. And it's a good thing.
Do you know the history of the victory of Adwa?
What I know is your resistance, you fought continuously before you overcame the whites, and it was a good thing. And that shows the African strength. If you're able to conquer these Europeans, and that means that Ethiopian is strong. And that even gave them the motivation for other African countries, like I said, to also fight for their rights. And they have other unity in other African countries.
How is Ethiopia viewed in the eyes of Ghanaians? Would you tell us?
I think I didn't have much knowledge about Ethiopia until I came and experienced. There's a saying that travel and experience. So little did I know about Ethiopia, but my period here, 11 months here, I've learned a lot. And I know that Ethiopians have the same culture, giving honor to elders. You see, they are greeting you. This culture, we have this similarity in culture, how they respect each other, how they tolerate. In terms of religion, the same thing. I mean, so to me, if you don't travel to experience, you wouldn't have much to say about the country. But my stay here has been very successful. I've been able to relate with Ethiopians, learn few Amharic, which makes me very comfortable wherever I go.
So can you greet our audiences, viewers in Amharic?
Salam no, Edinachu, Menamin. So a lot. I mean, at least what I could communicate with and they're happy. They're happy. Anytime you speak Amharic, you could see that the Ethiopians are very happy. And they ask me, how long have you been here? When I tell them the period, this short period, I've been able to learn this Amharic, they are shocked. Because, I mean, I just wanted to feel how Ethiopians, not to just hear on television or hear from a friend. And I thank the Inter-African Mobility Program. This is an educational exchange program. that allowed me to be here to experience the culture. Experience Ethiopian for myself. So now nobody can tell me about Ethiopian. I've felt Ethiopian experiences by myself, and they are the good people.
Good. Okay, so given the fact that you came all the way from Ghana and you are living here in Addis Ababa, and Addis Ababa is the capital city of Africa, so how does it feel like? You are living here, you are attending your education, you have been expressing it actually, but the feeling really when you leave, in your second home and just communicate with different societies. It's a metropolitan city. So what does it feel like? What are the staple foods of Ethiopia that you usually eat? What do you drink? How is the weather condition? Comparing it to the place that you came from. The area that you were born or the place maybe from Ghana. Ghana and Addis Ababa or Accra or Addis Ababa. Their weather condition, their staple foods, all those things. What do you feel about them?
Yeah.
Tell us.
I feel like Ethiopians believe in their culture and that they like their own food. And no matter what, wherever you come from, you get also used to their food. And I can boldly say I'm a lover of injera, beshiro. I love it. Dorowot, I love it. Their local drink, tella, something like that.
Have you tested it?
Tested very nicely. And it sounds like our local palm wine. Those of us in Ghana, we know palm wine. So I've been able to experience their culture. They are good people, like I said. They believe in themselves. They believe in their culture. They don't believe mostly in the white or what their white can. They believe in their culture, and they try to also extend that culture to other people. For instance, when I thought of learning Amharic, there are a lot of people willing to teach me. They will call me, this is this. Sometimes if you try to speak English, let's speak in Amharic. And I find it difficult. But when I did it, I tried it, and I could see that they are trying to, translate their culture to me. And I'm very happy to be here. I've learned a lot in Addis. And I feel proud to be in Addis. Like you said, Addis Ababa is the center or the capital city of Africa. And schooling in Addis Ababa is an honor. Just as somebody would take it as an honor to school in Paris or London, I feel to be schooled in Addis Ababa, the formerly Haile Selassie University. As a Ghanaian, I feel proud to be part of Addis Ababa.
As far as our discussion previously concerned, you have told me that you used to go around the city and see different developmental activities that Addis Ababa is dwelling on or embarking on. Like what we have said, Addis Ababa is an African capital. So the development of Addis Ababa is the development of Africa. So how does it feel like? You have been here for the last 11 months, and those months have been, months of development here in Addis Ababa. You see, in different parts of the city, people are dwelling on different developmental activities, and Addis Ababa is on the grasp of changing. It's on the brink of changing itself. It's becoming a vibrant hub. So, what have you witnessed? Tell us about these things.
Yeah, I think when you
live here in Arakilo, yeah?
Yes, when you talk of development, in fact, Addis Ababa has really strived well in terms of development. Because previously, when you look on television, let's speak, for instance, 5 years before, Addis was not like that. And in my experience, being here for 11 good months, I have seen a lot of improvement. Talk of the Addis roadway, this expansion of roads.
Yeah.
You could see that even not highways, you could see double road. Unlike in Ghana, for instance, you could only see double road on a highway. But even along these streets from Aratkilo to Piazza is not the main road or a highway linking cities to cities. But within, suburb, you could see even dual carriage roads. You could see this lightning system. The green Addis that we see, like you said, Baba means what? Flower. You could see all those green things. And I was really fascinated about these recreational centers. When you go to Mexico, you see this recreational thing. When you go to Aratkilo Friendship Park, you could see, and I wish even in Ghana we had all those recreational centers there. It promotes your culture. It educates the people. And I could commend the government of Ethiopia, or the promoters of this development. That is a very good thing. And on the issue of security, I feel very secured in Addis, because you see police dispatch everywhere. You feel secure to even work in the night, unlike maybe in other part of my country where you feel insecure. So, in terms of security, they have also improved. You can see the Addis police, you see the federal police. Even on campus, these security men are working each and every time, trying to search you so that nobody brings any harmful thing. And that has been a very incredible improvement. Unlike before, like I said, in terms of infrastructure, it's a very good plus. Security-wise, our movement, it has made our mobility very nice. And I experienced one of the best highways in Addis. From Addis to Hawassa, I really enjoyed my journey. It was a smooth journey, a very smooth journey, traveling from a far kilometer, but you could see that the road network was very good. All along, you could see green plants and all that, and it's a very good thing.
I just have asked you actually, but I want you to make it more of elaborated. These days there is an agenda 2063, the Africa we want. We want a prosperous Africa, weapon-free Africa, silencing the guns, all these things. And the contribution of the youth is undeniable, or is inevitable. So, given the fact that you came from Ghana, and Ghana has had a very democratic government transition recently, so tell us about the experiences of your country with regard to this political activity. For example, Africa demands democratic culture, and Ghana could be taken as a very good example, because it's a Western African country, and in Western Africa we know what's happening. So tell us the things that you were saying, what makes Ghanaians different from other parts of Africa. You were telling me about the intertribe marriage, all these things. So tell us those features that made you to enjoy democracy in such a way that you could easily take over power in a very smooth manner, and there isn't such kind of messes or the coup d'etats that we always see in Africa. Would you please talk about that? Because that is the true essence of independence. That's how I feel like,
We're talking of African unity.
Of course.
And like I said, if you're unable to resolve internal issues and build internal unity, we can promote it to the African continent. And like I said, Ghana, by the grace of God, we've been able to embrace intermarriage, of course, be able to tolerate religion tolerance. We'll be able to tolerate languages and all that. Like I said, in as much as we belong to different political parties, we are not enemies. Because you can find out that we are marrying ourselves and this civil war will reduce. For instance, in Ghana, there are two major political parties, NPP and NDC. And to your surprise, there's this family, I could use the Jinapo family, John Jinapo and Samuel Jinapo. They are from two different political parties. And these political parties are the strongest political parties. Even though they might argue on certain political things, have different political ambition, but at the end of the day, because of religious tolerance, intermarriage, and other things, Ghana is able to have that unity, even if there's this, political hitches or violence. It's easily resolved through intermarriage, through religious tolerance. Like I stated earlier, our former Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, by political affiliation, is a Muslim. But he could go to the Catholic churches. You could go to our traditional leaders, worship with them, exchange their culture and all that. And that has been our source of unity. One day, the chief imam in Ghana celebrated his birthday in a Roman Catholic church. And that has been the strength of our unity. One, we promote intermarriage, religious tolerance. We're able to exchange other cultural activities. When it comes to my region, Ashanti region, you wouldn't believe that there are other seats. The chief, Asante Hene, we call him Otumfo, has been able to bring other tribes to be parts of his kinship. So his kinship has not solely based on our ethnic group, but other ethnic groups. So when you come there, he has representative from the Volta region or the Voltarians, the Gans, the Northerners to be part of his kinship. When it comes to decision taking, he takes decision with these people. And that has been our strength. How would we fight if we're able to share our culture, if we're able to reason together? That has been us. And I believe that Ethiopia or any other African country can just go and learn how Ghanaians have been able to build this unity. That even 2024, people presume that we're going to have, a terrible, transition is going to be a chaos. But we had the best transition ever. Even before, the Electoral Commission will come out with her verdict. The other party, the losing party, had a press conference congratulating the winning party. And that is what we share as Ghanaians. We believe in religious tolerance, language or culture. We talk about the culture, we talk about the religious tolerance, and then we also talk about, in generally, we share everything together. That has been our source of unity.
Good. Let's come to the case of Ethiopia and Ghana, the cultural similarities and exchanges. You have touched it at some points actually, but what has really, sparked your heart or, touched your heart most here as far as your stay here in Ethiopia is concerned? For example, it might be the clothing, the staple food, it might be, I don't know. As far as your experience, your stays here concerned, what similarities and, differences have you been able to come across so that you might be a little bit confused or amazed? Let's talk about the cultural aspect. Yeah,
on the cultural aspect, I think both Ghana and Ethiopians share the same similarities, have this in terms of respect, how we honor our elders, how we respect people, how we respect the right of people. It's no different from Ghana. And in terms of our attire, it looks similar. Ethiopians also promoting their clothing, these artists and all that. We have the similar culture with Africa, but it's something that has been a gap, has been the language barrier.
I see.
Yes, the language barrier.
Have they just, talked to you in Amharic or some other Ethiopian language, assuming that you are an Ethiopian people, while you just walk on the road like that?
Yeah, by face.
Wouldn't they be surprised when they see you? Oh, this guy, is he intentionally speaking English or not? He's Ethiopian. He doesn't want to speak Amharic. Did they just pose such kind of questions to you?
Yeah, with me, my physical look will portray that I'm Ethiopian. Okay. If I don't speak for them to know, oh no, this is not part of us. Even though he may look like an Ethiopian, but his language makes him different, be able to differentiate between who an Ethiopian is.
I see. Yeah. Okay, the other one is in terms of promoting Africa unity. Still, we are just dwelling on Africa unity because much needs to be done. So there are, like what you have said, Inter-Africa Mobility Program is one case. This kind of cultural, specifically educational exchange programs should be promoted, and other cultural programs if there are. For example, recently Ethiopia has entertained East Africa Cultural Festival. There should be such kind of African festival if possible, which will be held region-wise, per annum, annually. So in promoting Africa unities, be it artistically, educationally, culturally, what has to be done? What is expected from the youth, you and me, and our batch as well, our generation? What has to be the task of or the assignment of African youths?
First of all, we have really started something, to talk of African Union conferences, the Pan-African Summit, which has been held, and I think that's what we've started. By going forward, I believe that we should promote and work on our economic ties by allowing free trade, educational exchange, like I'm benefiting right now here. I've been able to learn a lot and understand the Ethiopian culture. So if we able to work on these economic ties, talking about the educational exchange, cultural exchange, like you said, we'll be able to build the African that we want. We can also organize these events like cultural exhibition, arts, summit and all that. And it will also help scholars and learners like me to learn more about Africa. And that learning about that, we get to have the essence of our unity. For we could be able to share a common idea, work towards a shared idea. So specifically, I believe we should work on our economic ties and also looking at our political system. Because looking at our political system, it looks like Ethiopian based on a central government, where Ghana also based on a democratic government. And if you're able to work that, we will be able to get the unity that we want. Just as we said, Burkina Faso, they're also trending on a different political system, a coup d'etat. And if you have different political systems in Ghana, where do we go? But it also comes as a result of learning, tolerating each other's culture. You'll be able to understand each other, and then we work towards that goal of unity, just as our former leaders, these Pan-Africanists, Haile Selassie, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, they started. I think we should go back to our roots and be able to go into the books to know how they were planning, how they were going. They had a set goal. How were they trending on it? If you're able to go and search, you know what they meant to be, and you trend on the same path, and then have our African that we want.
Yeah, specifically in relation to the African users, for example, your role is higher here because you came here for Inter-Africa Mobility Program, and as far as your stay here is concerned, here in Ethiopia, you are just experience various cultures in Ethiopia. There are many international delegates who are residing here in Addis Ababa. So in bringing all other African scholars under one table and just realizing a very prosperous Africa, which really silences gangs and makes its children, grow up in a very harmonious kind of situation, the contribution of scholars like you is great. So I think if you have got something to say in this regard, what advice could you give to those scholars, African scholars?
The scholars have also started something, like I said. There was an Ethiopian scholar who lobbied for this scholarship for us and other countries, African countries, to enjoy. They could have just given the scholarship to their own people, but I believe because they have a sense of African unity, they also started this, let's have an educational, exchange. But going forward, I think it's limited. The scholarship for African students is limited. If we have more of them, we'll get more of Africans coming to Addis Ababa, and more of Ethiopians also moving to other African countries. Like you said, when you talk of Erasmus Mundus, you have been able to create that atmosphere, good incentive, and attract a lot of people from other part of the world. And we have our own intra-African mobility scholar program. So in that aspect, in education, I think some scholars have started, and then we encourage more scholars to seek for fundings so that we have that educational exchange, more of it to be done. And I also entreat on the politicians to also learn from other African countries. I know it's not bad to adopt Ghanaian culture or a Kenyan culture because of the unity. Like you rightly said, you know, Ghana, Nigerian, Cameroon, those from the West, we strive well in terms of football. Why don't we go there and ask them how they're able to promote this football? West Africans, we are not so good in athletics. Why don't we come to Ethiopia and see how they're able to promote that athletics? Because Ghana is not able to, in general, West Africans are not able to do well in Olympic Games. So Ethiopians have got that unique, sporting activity. Ghanaians and other West Africans also have a different sporting activity in terms of football, was East Africa are known for this athletics. So we can learn from each other and promote. In terms of trade, in terms of businesses, our Ghanaian brothers are very good. They know how to invest. We can learn from them. And I think Ethiopians too, you know how to make good use of your resources and all that. Now Ethiopians are promoting this airline business. And recently I heard the amount of money we generate. If Ghana is able to learn from Ethiopia, we'll be able to revive our airline system, thereby generating. And if we're able to generate money, we will distance ourselves from this European influence. And like I said, European influence has been a setback, a hinder to African unity, all because we depend on them. And sometimes the influence. It saddens me that the recent African Union Leadership Conference, a leader from Kenya was trying to promote, he had the same agenda, Pan-Africanism agenda, but unfortunately he lost. And if you dive into it, you could see that there was a political influence which made it go to the other side.
So what should be done? Just to alleviate this kind of influence?
Yes.
Or just permanently solve that?
I think journalists or leaders should sometimes not sell a real idea out. When we're able to sell a real idea, then the Europeans will know that, this is what they mean. This is what they are arriving at. They will counter. Like former Libya president, may he so rest in peace. Yeah. He had an agenda. He was selling it so well that
Muhammad Gaddafi.
Mm-hmm. Even you may have that vision, but it should be sold within people who really understand Africans, who really have the same ideology, not selfish people. That has been, a major problem. You might be promoting, having press conferences upon press conferences, selling what our agenda as African unity to them. And they counter over it. Sometimes you have to be secretive, being in our closet, plan very well before we execute it. Sometimes we have the goal, we have the plan. The goal, but we don't have the plan. So we should plan it. Even as we have the goal, we should plan it before we let the public know. Because if you set the goal out without the plan, they will counter. That has been a very, challenge in Africa.
Good. Let's come to the Green Legacy Initiative. You might have heard about that. The climatic crisis in the world is having a very severe climatic crisis. The climate is changing from time to time. But fortunately here in Ethiopia, it seems like things are going in a smooth manner. And the government of Ethiopia is launching, has already launched it. It was some couple of years ago, the Green Legacy Initiative, just, planting trees and doing some climate-friendly activities. I think you might have heard about that, yeah. Or you might have even participated. What do you say? How do you see that? What's your say in this regard?
Yeah, I think that initiative is a way to also mitigate these environmental challenges. And in Ghana too, we have the same thing. We have a day we call it Operation Planting, something like that. There's an initiative whereby even religious bodies get involved. They plant trees. There's a particular time that each and every religious body is planting, making the country green. And I think that is also mitigating these environmental challenges. And I commend Ethiopians for that. And I think they have a a common goal, like also mitigating environmental. I don't know of other country, but Ethiopia that have experienced, they're also doing something, making the whole country green in order to absorb these greenhouse gases, so that we can have a stable environmental condition. Yes, but in every challenge, we can also find something good. In as much as we have a lot of raining season, or maybe prolonged raining, or a lot of sunshine and all that, we're able to tap. We're able to generate a lot of solar energy. In Addis, it's a windy place because we're on a hill. And it's to my surprise, on my way to Adama, I could see a vast land which has been used for windmills. And that is a very good thing. It's a very good thing to also go into that, so that we'll be able to also generate something, give to other African countries, we share. And also goes on to affect our economical stability, something like that.
So viewers, our stay with Mr. Principal, who is a material science student at Addis Ababa University, comes to an end here. I hope that you have really enjoyed our stay with him. We have been able to have some discussions of insightful ideas that we feel Pan-Africans should dwell on. Till we meet up with another guest in another episode, our program ends here. Stay tuned up with the upcoming programs of AMN+.